All I'm saying, like, dude, I'm not arguing on these issues specifically. All I'm saying is that there are fantastic arguments on both sides, and there is no simple
What's the better point, right?
Unless there is a right answer.
But there isn't. That's why there's literally millions.
No, there's always a right answer.
But you're oversimplifying it. No, you're completely oversimplifying. My point is that
I'm just saying what you said. You said there is a right answer. There's a right balance.
There's always a right answer.
I don't think there's a right answer.
Well, one will work out better than the other.
This is a great podcast. Everyone just talk
I think
at
it's an
once.
issue
This
where
podcast can pick up.
I think these issues are so controversial because of the fact that there is no one right answer. And
exactly.
To say that there is one right answer is to drastically oversimplify it.
How about a balance?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm arguing.
That's why I never say anything with full confidence.
So maybe
I'm always open.
Exactly.
I'm
always
one fantastic argument.
100%.
So maybe one.
I would 100% agree with you. But I also would like to point out that there's always a right answer.
You think there's a right answer when it comes to a topic like abortion? Should we make it 100% illegal?
Yeah.
But the right answer is a balance, right? The right answer is a balance.
Exactly. But that's why I'm criticizing.
But then that means that one fantastic argument may not be as good as another.
But it's still. But just because it's not as.
How can it be fantastic?
But no one can be so confident about it.
No one can be so confident because the answer is that.
But who says the right answer will be found?
Does anybody want back massage before they get ulcer in back because of conversation?
You don't get ulcers in back.
Shut up.
There is no simple answer. Wait, what time is it?
No, it's really early.
There is no simple answer. I don't see how it can be simplified to, well, we should make it all illegal or we should make it all illegal. Because when it comes to immigration, there's like millions of sob stories, right, that would push the narrative of we need to let everyone in because there's like kids getting like killed in Mexico right now who need asylum, like they need safety. But we can also make the argument of how it would absolutely destroy like certain communities in the United States and raise violence. It's just like a fact. As immigration increases from certain countries, crime rates are going to increase in the what?
Okay. What?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I feel like, honestly, how I feel about it is, like, I feel like it gets even more serious than that, and it's, like, stop dividing the countries. Like, the thing is that's happening in the world, and so no matter what, it's everyone's problem anyways, and so even just if it's happening on our lawn or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's any more of a problem than it is if it's happening in Mexico. And so the real problem isn't who's getting across which border so that they can fucking survive. It's about, like, why is this stuff happening in the first place?
But it seems really optimistic saying that if it's happening elsewhere in the world, it's the exact same thing as if it was happening in my front door.
Well, the thing is you're not getting rid of it when you just draw a line. Like, there's still people.
I mean, 300,000. All right, so this year, like, I always make a joke out of this because
everyone in America always gets off easy, though. You know what I mean? Like.
But I don't understand how it's an argument of like we need to bring in other. And also at the same time, like me bringing up these topics was kind of nasty because yeah, because that's not the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, okay. You just want to make another point?
No, I'm still trying to like talk about my original thing, which is that there's no simple answer, and that there's no way for any of us as like 18 to 20-year-old kids in Southern California with little to no life
experience. I think you're limiting
experience.
yourself when you say that. I think you can understand.
But I think that's ridiculous.
But isn't like you understanding something right now when you're saying that though? Like,
but I'm saying that I don't understand that. Like to say, yeah, but that's
anything we think of. Someone 60 years old has already thought of like 50 times even better than we can.
6 years old?
60.
Oh, I think it's 6. I was like, I agree with that.
I mean, there's a reason why kids don't.
I disagree with
right?
that. I don't think a 6-year-old could have this conversation. I disagree with that.
I don't think it should work like that. Where like we're gonna put ourselves in a paradox of how we view this. That's really that's interesting though that you thought about it. Because I thought about it like that, but then I was like, no. But then I was like, no, because it still has to like. No, I was thinking about the exact same thing that you were thinking, but like it still has to fit. Like there still needs to be an order thing. And what I'm trying to say,
I think that is order though. Like the thing is what it's just. I think it's order, but it's just less like.
It was there. Wow, that movie was there, so I like bought it. It was pretty good.
Is that the right word?
Do you feel like do you feel like someone with more life experience than you, with more who's experienced more suffering, more happiness, knows what it's like to own a family, to have a family, to have a job, to own a house, pay taxes,
on IMDb,
and have if they have a differing opinion than you?
It got pretty awful.
How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I think that there's 40-year-old people that are like literally stupider than like children. I think there's some children that have more empathy and can understand more than some adults. Like I think that I think that that's actually it actually adds to your point, which is like the spectrum of people that exist on the planet is so different that like you could take someone who's lived 100 years and put it up against like a 10-year-old who's like also lived, and like the 10-year-old could be wiser than that old man.
What if you met your?
Just look at you and your parents.
What if you ran into your 40-year-old self? Who do you think has more like wisdom?
That depends because that's me.
Yeah.
So like that's like I still think I'm different. Like I'm not saying I'm better than everyone, but like I do have like I have met adults that I think I am smarter than.
Yeah. But what I'm saying
but is that indicative of all adults?
What I'm saying is
there are very
No, but that's what I'm
intelligent
saying.
adults
That's
out
what I'm
there.
saying though. Is that's why it's like.
But that's the whole point of my
It
argument.
adds to your point even more that you can't even make it an objective thing about that because all the people that exist are so different anyways.
And that's because they all come from like extremely different life experiences. Yeah. So that's my point.
So there's nothing we can do.
Well, I mean, partly that is the answer. That it's kind of what I'm saying, but at the same time, I'm saying that like we should not be confident. We should listen to what Nietzsche's saying is that whenever he says something, he almost never feels 100% confident about it.
Yeah, that's actually really wise.
Okay, good.
But I don't think anybody lives by that.
That's true.
I don't think a single person lives by that
It's
except
because
me.
we're so scared. I feel like.
But I think it's also because just people in our age group are extremely
the
confident in how they feel about things.
You know the group of people that are most like.
I mean, like the world's fucked up.
But old people, I'm saying old.
Did you say?
I'm saying old people are.
Yeah.
Old people's opinions are likely more.
Running it, and they're doing trash jobs.
Old people are more live a more like their opinion is more valid.
Like if I were to run into my 40-year-old self,
what do you think?
40-year-old self would have the wisdom of current me and then some. So
yeah,
Because
that's
they
true.
want
But
to
the
take
thing
away
is,
the
there's a
argument
lot of
itself.
people that are
40-year-old you
older
wants
that-
to kill
They want to
it.
take away the right side of the
Probably.
There are
thought
people
maybe
that are like
all of those.
older
smarter
Yeah,
than
hold
other
back.
people. Or
Yeah,
just even like you've met like some children, you're like, wow, I really feel like you're like understanding shit, and then you
Yeah,
meet some
there's
other
prodigies,
person,
yeah.
and you're like, you're not there at all. Like that counts. I don't know.
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
I
that's
wanna
why
take
this,
it back
that's
to
why
when we
this
were
group
talking
works
about
so well because
some-
we look at other things.
Yeah, I want
Yes.
to take it back to when even though this isn't the point I'm trying to make, all I'm trying to make is that like people should be a lot more cautious when they say stuff and open-minded. But like on the topic of immigration, your argument, I think is something that millions of people would support, right? The idea of like being as compassionate as possible. You know, they're people too. They're one of us. We should accept them in
I
here.
think it could be selfish too, to be honest.
Exactly.
Like,
your argument, or
yeah. Like honestly, like it's not even about like you can do the whole bleeding heart spiel, but I don't even have to buy into that. Like honestly, it's like if it comes down to it, it's like well,
Wait, what's bleeding heart?
bleeding heart is like people that's like oh I feel for everyone.
Exactly.
Oh, I thought you
Like,
said art. I was like, what?
oh no.
But like,
like-
as great of an argument as that is in this, and it's proven by the fact that there are literally hundreds of millions of people who agree with that, and there are stories out there like the one my uncle, who's a lawyer, was dealing with. I mean, there is there's validity to that side of the argument, right? But at the same time, there is another side of the argument that is talking about that is showing how immigration increased in this one part of the country and 500,000 Americans lost their jobs and their mother got raped by an immigrant here who was here illegally. So, I mean, the fact you can try and refute whatever.
But that's just happening in the U.S. That shit's happening everywhere.
But you understand my point that there's like a great argument to both sides.
I mean, I guess so, but like to be honest, I kind of feel like it's sort of. I feel like honestly, the selfish thing is to be like, I don't know. I mean, like.
But there's no easy way to go.
Yeah, that's also why there's no correct answer to like the 44 piano keys because both sides have great
Exactly.
arguments.
No, we're
I
doing
think
this
if you
again.
remove enough, I just think that like removing the lines makes everything so much easier.
Travis is
because it's
going
like,
to sleep. We've had a good fun
No,
time
no,
here,
really,
folks.
there's
Travis is getting tired. We need to go now.
There's people who have gone through like 20 years of higher education in college and like studied with
I
some
like
of the
monkeys.
best
I
professors.
literally don't care about that stuff. Like honestly,
But you
credentials
can't
don't
just
mean shit.
reject their argument then.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to reject
If
it because
the-
I think they're people, but I don't care what credentials they have.
Credentials are the most important thing.
No,
That's the whole basis
you
of
can
this
have
argument.
But I think that credentials is like you can have credentials just from your life experience, just not because you just read something that some man wrote for
Life
years ago.
experience is important, but there also needs to be like you said, an objective part to the equation of when it comes to how are we going to form an opinion on something.
But that doesn't come from like people who have like read a book.
You were literally saying that
actually,
too many people
Eliza,
voice
I
their
actually
opinion.
have a pretty good example of that. So my trainer Frank, he went to jail for 10 years. Right, when he was an 18-year-old, he hit and killed 2 people
on a car.
in a car on accident. He was on LSD.
I remember
Oh shit!
Oh, you told me about that.
Everything.
Oh,
you
that
would-
guy, yes, he
everything you would
changed.
expect this guy to be.
It's a good
he's
one.
Not. You would expect him to be kind of a left-leaning, kind of hate the system type guy, right?
Well, he looks like a
Instead
pretty
he's-
bulky like prison mate.
Yeah,
He does look like he got out of prison. So
Yeah,
With
he's
his-
everything you
with
expect.
his
He's
deep-
everything you wouldn't expect him to be.
Did his prison?
Yeah.
Literally because.
but I expected him to look like he got out of prison.
Not,
Did he,
not
wait,
because of his
did he
life
get
experiences.
raped by his
He
prison guy?
reads.
Did he get
He
raped?
reads. He went to church.
Like Hitler.
Yeah,
Hitler
yeah,
was-
I guess so.
But yeah, and my point
Exactly,
is like
yeah.
he's a total conservative, total kind of like reformed guy
Yeah.
because he's read these books and not even because of his life experiences. I think. So like Sergio said, I think they're like both sides to the argument.
But it,
Like you mean that you can gain a new opinion by what you learn?
Yes.
no, I feel like you're also contradicting yourself because earlier you were saying, we can't just form our own opinions off.
No, don't
Wait,
shush
hold on.
me. You
We're
do
having
that
a
all the
conversation.
fucking time.
Contradict myself?
Yeah,
Not really.
you'll say one thing and you'll just throw in another.
Let's
thing.
see. Let's see. What
Wait,
you
hold
say.
on. Earlier you were saying, we can't base our opinions solely off our emotions and how we feel. We need to also use logic and facts.
But I think people
And now
use
you're-
logic when. I think.
But they're just they're basing it completely. But you're saying it's okay for someone to base it completely off their own life experience, which is okay. But are we going to take their argument seriously? I think that's difficult to do.
I agree.
I feel like, it depends on the person. That's what's so hard. Is like there's gonna be someone who's just gonna like live their life as a sob story and be like, you should listen to me because you should. And then there's gonna be other people where it's like they're like serious people where they're like, yeah, I've thought about shit. And
Einstein.
I guess it's like, okay, this is the thing.
Einstein?
It's fine reading information. I'm not saying
bagel bros
anything
taste
against
good.
like reading information and
I do
learning
like
new
yeah.
things.
You should try
What
the
I don't
lox.
like is
Yes.
people that just listen
Yeah.
to people based off their
No, I
feelings.
totally agree.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
They're
Open
rebels.
during the day.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to be a balance of the two, and that's what I've been arguing. There needs to be a mixture of both.
It should be open
What is
during
this
the
person's
afternoon.
life experiences? What is it? Where are they from? Were they from a rich family or a poor family?
Yeah.
And what information have they
learn?
learned?
I guess from honestly, like from my point of view, your life experience includes things that you've learned.
Oh.
So like,
Well, I kind of put it more as like any person in the world can read this history textbook, right? But
not everyone can
no
go through
two
it.
people have the exact same life experiences.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or am I being retarded?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Wait, what if they're
Sure.
conjoined twins?
What if they have
Even
different
still,
brains?
even
If joint
Different
twins, we just get rid of them.
What?
even still.
Like
Yeah, they have
Travis.
different
Yeah.
brains.
If I'm going to bring up abortion,
Yeah.
right? I strongly feel like I'm extremely pro-abortion, and I think anyone born after the year 2017 should be entirely legal to kill them. But the fact is,
I can't even
there's
tell
a
if you're joking
there's
or
a
not.
strong argument on the other side, which is where you shouldn't kill anyone after the year.
But is there
born
a right-
after the
is
year
there a right answer?
2017. The fact is that there is no right answer.
Wait, are
Whoa,
you actually
whoa, whoa.
pro-abortion?
Nick, you said that you think there is a right
I don't.
answer.
There has
You're
to be a
not.
right answer.
I don't think
I agree with
I don't
Nick.
think there's a right answer.
I think there is a right answer.
But we
I
don't
think
have
there's a right answer.
I don't know. I haven't thought about.
we don't
that
have
that
enough
much.
like work or evidence or stats to prove anything though. But there has to be a right answer. One outcome will end up better than the other outcome,
I agree.
unless they end up
But
equal.
there need, what I'm saying is
And
that
I don't
there
think
needs
that's
to
the
be a
case.
balance, because on one
It's definitely
side,
a balance,
on one side, there is the argument of, I used to be very, very pro-abortion, and I still say like,
Wait, you used to be or you are?
no, I think we should kill anyone born after the year 2017.
What
Let me explain myself. You'll see what I mean.
It's like population.
This is why I think
Yeah, well,
all
it's
of
gonna
them
go
are.
there now, isn't it?
This is why I think all of them are such fantastic topics. Is because
Wait,
there
Sergio, are you anti or pro-abortion right now?
well, let me explain myself.
And that means that you have an objective argument. That you support an objective argument.
But I don't think I'm 100% right because I don't know, and I don't think anyone.
Because you've had your mind changed on it a few times.
Because
so
I've had my
you
mind
can't
changed
be-
on it many times.
I'd
Let me
actually
explain
like to know
something.
what you said
Let me
about
explain something. So, if we're going to take an issue like abortion, which they're saying there has to be a right answer, there has to be, well, we should make it entirely illegal or we should make it entirely illegal. And one of those people was right. And what I'm saying is that that's ridiculous because there are fantastic arguments and strong arguments based off facts and empirical evidence from millions of people's life experience that we can look to and that support or pro-choice,
But Sergio,
pro-abortion, pro-choice.
Like Nick said, one choice will yield better results.
It doesn't matter.
But there's no telling it, and the
Depends how
fact
you
that
define the right answer.
It
then.
doesn't matter if someone has a good opinion and someone else has a different opinion. One of their opinions is correct. They can't
Exactly.
both be right and they can't both
no,
be
but I'm
wrong.
saying there has to be a balance, and that's why this issue is that intense. Because this
Wait, a balance
but
between
you-
what?
Yeah, depends how you define good.
between being 100% pro and I think it's silly to think 100% pro or 100% not. Let me explain the point I was about to make.
Oh well, yeah,
So-
If you could dive into every single case,
Right.
and,
Yeah, exactly.
then obviously, that's the best
That's
solution.
not going to happen in the near
But
future.
I mean, not every.
And if everyone would argue for that, everyone would say that, but that's just not realistic. So there has to be 100 or 0%.
But I don't see it. Okay, wait.
But the right choice yields better results. right?
Let me explain the thing I was trying to say. So if we're gonna be there's this video that I watched a few years ago that had a big impact on me. It completely changed. It's this doctor who performed thousands of abortions.
Socrates?
No, not Socrates.
1,000. Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
This doctor.
Sorry, whoa.
Wait, hold on. 'Cause
Sorry.
I actually think this is.
Okay.
No,
so
this is this doctor who performed thousands of abortions.
Doctor
Right,
Who.
and he's telling the story of basically what the process is. And he's talking about how he goes in, he gets these pliers and he crushes the baby's skull. And this is how this is a routine like third trimester abortion, which he performed thousands of. He crushes the baby's skull, he takes off the parts, and he stacks the baby's head right there. And he goes in with another pair of tweezers that cuts off, serrates each of the legs on the baby, and then he's stacking up the little body parts right there. Right. So this is an argument for, can you watch this and listen to this and not be disgusted by the act that's going on here? Right. I mean, can you morally support going in and crushing the skull of the baby? Right. So that's one side of the argument.
Do you actually do abortions when the skull is developed?
When the baby was almost developed, yeah.
Is this is a long time ago?
No, it's still completely illegal today.
All the way up to birth,
I thought that it was illegal to abort baby after a certain stage.
How do you spell Lovecraft? Is it like craft and love?
I think after a certain stage, but still within the stage where the brain is developed and it's certain, not the brain, but like the head is developed in certain parts, he's able to like crush it.
Okay.
Anyways, regardless of that,
2 different names.
There's also the aspect of, well, if we made abortions legal, if we made abortions entirely legal, millions of poor people would be getting just like illegal abortions. What about people who are like raped or incest? And like, if we were to, if we were to make abortion entirely illegal, like it would absolutely ravage like the black community or like other like the Latino community because the black community gets abortions at a rate that's 5 times higher than whites and Asians and Latinos, 5 times higher, which means 5 times more people, right? In communities that already have reduced housing, less access to school and things like that, to like proper schooling and things like that, right? Yeah. So the fact is like I, on one side, like, dude, I mean, if you can watch that video and tell me that you don't see a single thing wrong with abortion when the doctor's going in and telling he's serrating the arm and stacking it up on the bedside of where the mother is, and you can tell me that you see nothing wrong with that, then I think you're a little retarded. Inhumane. You're inhumane. But at the same time, if you can say we should make abortions entirely illegal, which would absolutely ravage, first off, the black community, people who are raped, basically. Incest, things like that. Yeah. But so there needs to be a balance between the two. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be there is no simple answer.
Well, it depends on what point of view. If you're a moralist, then you shouldn't abort babies.
No, but that's kind of like excluding the whole point he's making. Like,
which is that we should.
Well, there's no, but my point is there's no objectivity if you don't take a perspective.
But that's what he's saying.
You can't have a total objective perspective, right? Like,
wait, Nish, you want to talk from now on? I'm kind of done talking.
What's a moralist?
Thanks for listening.
What's a moralist?
No, I don't understand.
Is it someone who does something with morals?
Yes, exactly. There's many arguments. But Sergio, I feel like they said, there's a right answer for each perspective.
Do you think there's a simple answer to abortion?
Depend from
we should make it entirely illegal. It's entirely legal.
Someone puts one of them will work out.
Wait, what do I think, or what would a moralist think?
Well, that's my point. It's just it depends what your life experience is.
People think it like in different ways.
That's what his point is.
But people think in and of themselves in different ways in different situations. So it's not just person to person. I could think like this in one stance, like a moralist, and I could think like an economic guy. I could think like a doctor here, or I could think like a teacher here. You know what I mean?
That just proves his point even more.
Is that it's all just a matter of where your life experience is
from. My point is, I think there is a right answer from a certain perspective.
So you think the doctor has more validity to his argument than the lawyer? Or the moralist or the churchgoer or the musician?
In certain positions, correct, yeah. Yes.
I don't know if it's based off perspective. There's one right answer, no matter your perspective.
But that's my point, is that...
It just might be one that we haven't found yet.
Do you think it can be boiled down
obviously to the right answer would be a balance, like diving into every single scenario.
But the right answer, from what standpoint?
An absolute moralist.
But you realize these arguments have been going on since like the dawn of time.
Yeah, it's split perfectly in the middle.
And it's split essentially perfectly in the middle.
50% one, 50% male, 50% one, 50% male. It's like perfect. It works out perfectly.
What do you mean?
Like 50% of women support abortion, 50% of male support abortion, and vice versa on the other half. It's perfectly split on everything.
Yeah, and but that's my point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm agreeing with you. There's no way it could be split so perfectly if one side was just completely wrong.
Yeah, I know. There is no simple answer. And that's because there is no right answer. If there was a right answer, dude, if we could get a man on the moon, we would have found the right answer to what abortion should be. Or what should immigration be.
There wouldn't be two parties.
But you think we would have found a right answer already?
If there was a right answer,
Clearly not, because we're still debating.
Yeah, I don't think there is a right answer. I don't
That's
think
what
you're-
I'm saying. There is no right answer. Nietzsche's saying there's no right answer.
I don't think we
I
found
Nietzsche
it.
saying there's a right
No, I don't. I agree. I don't think we found it.
Yeah, we haven't found it, but there is a right answer.
What do you mean, dude?
I agree that
What is
taking
this?
things from a certain perspective, there is a right answer. I also agree with what Nick says. Collectively, there is one right answer that will yield better results for
Because
the
they
collective
know we're
population. Then we'll one. Then we'll another decision. I just agree that we haven't found it yet. Whether or not it's a balance or whether or not it's a yes or no question or answer the question, I think we haven't found it yet.
I can't.
But I do think that one of these arguments you're saying, one side will be disproven entirely.
Like what in the next 2,000 years? Like
I don't
these
know.
arguments have
I
been
don't
going on
know.
since the inception of
Probably
America.
never.
So if they're not
Probably never,
Because
right?
people just don't want to agree with each other.
So if they're not disproven yet,
But
should
why
we
don't they?
disprove them
It's
now?
because of their own life experiences. It's because of the facts and the empirical evidence that they've acquired throughout the course of their lives that they feel that way. And to say that one person is more correct than the other is retarded.
You're right.
Thanks, Nietzsche.
So why do you care about
I find it interesting.
Yes,
I
I
think he's a
hear.
good-
Yeah, I totally
he's
hear
good
what
at
you're saying.
talking like this.
Dude,
Yeah.
I
It's just
feel
hard. It's just hard to think outside our own.
exactly,
our own-
and that's the thing is
Change
how
on
who's to say that
everyone.
your
Nice.
opinion
They're not
as
you.
a
No, you were the one
white
who didn't think it
What
was.
about-
male
what about-
born in
Even
Southern
all the
California
things that I
is
said, I
any
really
different
just said
than
people
a black kid
Like
born
what if the
in
like what if
the
the
suburbs.
Bible's fake? What if we're supposed to
Exactly.
actually be killing each other?
There's no telling.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
And to say that one side is better than the other, to say that the black kid born in Chicago is any more wrong or correct when it comes to the topic of immigration than Muhammad Ali born in Afghanistan to both of his parents were bombed and there's no
So there is a right point of view, but we have no right to judge
There's
points
no
of
right
view
to
because
judge.
we don't know it yet.
Yet.
Okay.
Or ever.
But I don't think yet ever, Travis. We got a man on the moon. We got a man on the moon. I have a supercomputer on my hand right now. I have access to the entire world's information in my left
So
hand.
what? So what?
And we don't know whether we should
Haven't you
kill
seen
babies or
things
not. The
happen?
answer is clear. Anyone born after the year 2017 should just be hung.